Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. So today I figured I'd just do another review. Of course, that's what I do on this show, talking about movies and such. So okay, I just thought I would get in and talk about some kaiju related stuff because I like talking about giant monsters and whatnot. And okay, whatever the case may be, finally got to see this movie. So the next installment in the MonsterVerse, as they would call it. So yes, I actually went to the movie theater because why not? I tend to do that anyway. I thought I would treat myself, so I finally watched like it's a Hong Kong movie. And what do you call it? The New Empire. So why not? I guess. So okay, I just thought I would just go here for a little bit. Give you an excuse to talk about something Japanese related, at least Japanese inspired, I guess. So that seems like a good way to do that. So what the hell? So here we are, and this gave me an excuse to talk about this kinds of stuff anyway. And yes, unfortunately, it was a bit cold. It was rainy and all that jazz. Of course, unfortunately. But that's okay. That's not gonna stop me though. Fucking whatever. I'll just do it. Why not? Whatever. Anywho, I just thought I'd just give this a chance and see if it's any good. So with that being said, like always, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So here we go. Oh yeah. So taking place after the events of the previous film where King Kong is living in the hollowed earth and whatnot, and in this one he's trying to find other members of his species. So lo and behold, there are other monsters in this area and this place. Like, what is this place? What's happening here? But there's other monsters. Basically, what can I say is that it's like a wrestling movie, pretty much, and that's the case here. But it's just filled with giant monsters doing the whole thing with that, pretty much. I guess that's one way to summarize it. It's a wrestling movie, except those giant monsters doing that, really. So okay, but the thing is that King Kong and Godzilla, they still remember what had occurred in the previous installment. So yes, that's still going to be a thing. Obviously, that's still a thing here. Do you remember in the original King Kong vs. Godzilla where the native characters were on this island and they didn't exactly have any connections to the modern day world and whatnot, so they didn't have the technology or whatever? And the thing is that that does come back here, but the only real major difference, at least the natives in this version of the story, they have more of an importance on the overall story. So they'll put more emphasis on this whole society where it's like they don't have the modern day advances, of course, but these characters actually play more of a part of the story. They're not just there just to be there. So I'll give the movie that. I do like the fact that the native type characters actually serve the purpose in a grand scheme of things. And that's good. I actually like that aspect of it, really. I didn't mind it, really. So there you go again. At the end of the day, this is pretty much about King Kong and Godzilla teaming up. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, that's what this is focusing on. Which you can obviously pick up from the trailers. These two characters have to join forces and put their differences to a side for a moment because this threat is really powerful. This threat is really strong, and which you, of course, you got that from the trailers. That pretty much the trailers informed you that there's a big old strong thing, and it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with immediately, of course, and otherwise people will suffer, and that's the thing here. Of course, this needs to be done, and yes, obviously, as you can guess yourself, Kong himself Kong is supposed to be the defender of humanity, so of course King Kong himself feels that it's something he must figure out how to do this. How can he get out of this situation and help humanity as a whole? So of course Kong himself really wants to help people and whatnot, and that's what you get here when you think about it. So there is plenty of destruction scenes to be had here. Lots of stuff to get destroyed, explosions and whatnot. There's plenty of that to be had here. Of course, I have to talk about the destruction scenes. And yeah, this was definitely a movie that was made to be watched on the big screen. You can definitely tell it was made for the this kind of a theater, an IMAX or whatever huge theater you can find, like this one for example. And yes, of course, there's the whole thing with Kong Skull Island and the film Godzilla vs. Kong have a direct connection to that, of course. And ultimately, this movie I'm talking about here, it kind of feels like a third installment to that, really. Because this felt more of a Kong movie than a Godzilla movie. And it's like, seriously? Okay, that's probably nitpicking on my part, but it kind of felt like it needs to be more balanced, really, but whatever, guys. It still was a good treat to be had here. And yeah, speaking of treats, there's like quite a bit you can select from. It does feel like the pricing here has been inflated, if I'm gonna be honest with you folks. Come on. I want some chocolate bars or whatever. They might typically cost like what, a dollar or two maybe, depending where you go. But it's doubled over here. Like, are you kidding? Or even triple. So like this popcorn here actually cost me. Yes, I have my ticket there. Actually cost me $10. Are you serious? Ugh. So I ended up paying $20 for the whole thing though. Christ, for the movie ticket and that $20. Are you? What I'm trying to say here is that I wanted to go up to the employee, at least one of the employees that work there, and my attitude will pretty much be,
Oh, I've got a better idea. Why don't you go across the street and buy some condoms? Because we should at least be safe if you're gonna fuck me, Mom. Eric? You might as well go buy some cigarettes too, because I like to have a smoke after I get good and fucked.
there were also these specialized Godzilla and Kong box things that actually cost $18. Well, do I want them?
Fuck no!
I mean, no disrespect to the movie or anything like that, of course, but I could have bought like a full meal at Wendy's or something. I mean, really, with the soda. Or maybe a frosty with, like, maybe. Oh, why you gotta do me like that? I mean, seriously, why you gotta do me like that?
Does Wendy respond? Does Wendy reply? I bet the queen won't respond. Yes, I respond. I reply. I am here. So, if you want a response, drop a question with the hashtag AskWendyAnything in the comments. And I don't know, I might give you some words of wisdom. I'll rate your fit, your lunch. I'll even offer relationship advice or answer any burning question you might have. So send me your Ask Wendy Anything questions now. I'll even read the ones with typos. You dropouts.
I do think that this whole arm thing that Kong has in the movie was actually pretty cool. And no, that's not me spoiling anything. You saw that in the trailers for a brief moment, so there's that. This sucks that it was raining though. Like, Christ almighty, of all the damn days, it was raining. Like, really? This was a bummer. Oh boy. I mean, oh well, I guess. But there was that. Yes, even after the movie was over, it was still raining. Like, oh boy. I mean, it's fine, I suppose. I don't mind the cold weather, actually. Yeah, I'm fine with the cold weather. It doesn't really bother me. I just point that out there. Anyway, but pretty much, how do I say this? Yeah, if you remember how like films like Invasion of Astro Monster was, yeah, if you remember these types of movies from the Showa era of Godzilla, it's basically that. That's what I'm going to say. How like it's crazy. You see these monster fights, lots of westerling and whatnot, and just doing all these crazy stunts and whatnot. If you're familiar with these movies, then that's pretty much what you're getting here. It just has a bigger budget. Other than that, it's the same thing, really, when you think about it. But at least on the bright side, I can say that at least there's a new monster, or monsters, I should say. One of the things I did heavily criticize some of the Godzilla films is that they keep recycling the same monster over and over and over again. But at least this time around, there's a new batch of monsters to see here. So at least in some respects, is that this film does seem kind of refreshing in that regard. So I can't complain too much, really, of course. So anyway, I'm glad about that. I'm glad that they actually came out with some new creatures to have some fight scenes in here, and it delivers on that front. It definitely delivers on that front. And if anyone remembers that girl character that does the whole hand singling thing in Godzilla vs Kong, that's definitely again here. If anything, that's used more so in this one. It's used way more than the previous installment. So effort for continuity, I guess. And the character with the single hand thing, she feels really out of place, which is established really early on. She feels out of place, like she doesn't belong anywhere, like at all. So, so in some ways, she's like, so what? What does that have to do with anything? Well, I'm not gonna tell you. I'll just leave it at that. I know I'm being really vague there, but I'll just leave it at that. Okay? That is established like really early on in the film that she feels out of place. She feels like she doesn't belong anywhere. Not here, not there, nowhere. Like, what does that mean exactly? What relevancy does this have? Well, you're gonna have to find out by watching the movie. I'll just leave it at that. The director of the film did express some interest in making another one of these, and okay, he did say he could make another one of these type of movie. Well, a third movie featuring both Godzilla and Kong in the same film. But he did note that it depends on how well this film does and how these things turn out, so to speak. So it depends on the long run. It depends on how from this point forward. And the film is doing quite well, actually. So a possibility. I mean, I won't hold my breath, but we'll just see how things go from this point onward. In other words, so there could be a chance of another one. In other words, this is pretty much a slugfest, and if that's what you want, then that's pretty much what you can get here. Pretty much a type of movie is pretty much action packed throughout the entire thing, and it's kind of reminds me of those '80s cartoons that came out way back in the day, and it's basically that. It just reminds me of those action packed '80s cartoons, and if that's your cup of tea, then that's pretty much is what you get in here, really. That's about it. And that's not necessarily doesn't have to be a bad thing per se. It's just a certain type of movie, of course. Oh yes, we all seen those type of cartoons way back when. It's basically that in a nutshell. It's that in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of the type of a movie that this is really. If that's something you came out accustomed to over time, then and you want to see this kind of a thing, oh boy, you're in for a treat. That's that's what all I can really say about it, really, when you think about it, because it gives you what you're looking for, pretty much. The fight scenes are really well done. The fight scenes are pretty nicely choreographed, even though there's a lot of CGI heavy when you think about it. But of course, there's going to be plenty of action to be had here, and the pace isn't too shabby, really. The pace isn't too bad. And yes, I did think it was an improvement over Godzilla's Kong, which I thought was pretty okay, to be honest here. But this was definitely an improvement over that. It didn't annoy me as much in the grand scheme of things, I guess, but I did think that this was definitely an improvement. I'll give it that. Okay, I'll give it that, really. But anyway, there's not a whole lot can we complain, really, in the grand scheme of things, because this film delivers what you expect from the Showa era of Godzilla, like we were saying already earlier, folks. Okay, let me shed some light on what I mean by it delivers what it promised. What I mean is that it didn't come off like really pretentious, like Matrix Reloaded. Like it's trying to be deep, like really meaningful, like and whatnot. No, it's just no. You horse's ass. You're a pretentious asshole movie. So at least with this film, it didn't come off nowhere near that. Really, it didn't come off like smaller than what it really is. So there's that. This is definitely something I would say that I'll own it on DVD or Blu-ray or maybe 4K when it comes out. That's going to be definitely a good while, really. But in the grand scheme of things, it's fine. I guess it's fine. It's whatever. It does what it's supposed to. It does what it's trying to succeed. It does what it promises. So I'll give credit when credit is due. Anyway, I'll give this film an overall rating of a 7.0 out of 10. It's a 7.0 out of 10 for me. So thanks for watching and take care. See ya. Oh yeah.